over here close to my workshop, I've been working on installing a electric fence right here beside the gate that I put in. So this isn't charged yet, but this is the new electric fence, and I ran it all the way down this fence line, and it kind of goes that way off into the woods, all back in behind the woods back there. And then it comes out on the fence line down there past the pond. And so my goal behind it, and you can see the remnants of my garden fencing right there. I'm going to get all that straightened out pretty soon. But my goal for the electric fencing on this side was so that I can add some cross fencing with some poly rope wire. I want to be able to section off this little parcel here, allow it to rest, and do some more stuff like that up here in the front. But also importantly, the way I routed the electric line, I'm able to get power or electric fence power back to the far back there, and then I can do some additional cross fencing with the poly rope wire into my what I call my main pasture back there, past that tree line. So the length that I ran the electric fence was one of those 1/4 mile. It was Oklahoma fence wire, 14 gauge, and used this I don't know whether it's like a ratcheting tightener, and it worked really well. It got it nice and tight. And this is just kind of how I set up all the corners and connections. I use these little plastic ties. So now I just need to pound in the ground rod, and what I'm doing is I want to put my electric fence charger inside my workshop. In the past, I've kept it outside, and it's really not recommended for that. It's actually an indoor only charger, but I've been using it kind of temporary by running an extension cord and hanging it on a fence post, like, you know, one of these. But I want to get away from that. I want to put the charger inside, that way it's protected, and then I want to run some underground wire from my shop building that's behind me over here. Alright, so I'm going to drive this 8-foot ground rod. It's a galvanized ground rod for electric fences, and they recommend galvanized over copper. I just read it. It said that copper could be detrimental to the system or could reduce the performance of the charger. So I bought this 8-foot galvanized ground rod at Tractor Supply for about $25. So right here where I put this mark, that's where I'm going to put my wires in through the building. I'm going to keep my electric charger indoors. They last a lot longer that way, so I'm going to put the ground rod about right there. All right. Alright, so I've got the ground rod in place, and I don't know if you can see this this wire, and it's just going to be kind of a guide to tell me how to dig. And I've got this Field Guardian undergate aluminum cable that I'm going to be using to go that little span there. And I'm not going to dig it extremely deep. I'm just going to use this shovel here. I just put a fresh edge on this blade just to kind of help me dig a little bit easier. So I'm going to get this dug out, run the cable, and connect it over there where I've got my little ratchet tightener. So like I was saying, I'm going to just use this line to kind of help me. I want to make the trench as straight as possible, so I'm not having to dig any more than I have to. That's a pretty long distance. So I'm just going to come over here to the side of it, and again, this is where I'm going to be putting the hole in the shop to run the wires into, and it'll be coming down here on this clamp that I just put in. The reason why I'm not doing the electric fence straight out is this area is going to be my garden. I'm making a bit of an effort to get it away from where I'm going to be working. My splice connections, I got these poly rope connectors, and I think it's going to work really good here in this application as well. And I can use these for my poly rope connections. The nice thing about this is I can twist tie them, and if I need to move things around, it's easier than when you crimp it. Let me get one of these out of here. So here in the corner of my shop, this is where I've got it set up. I've got the lines coming in. I'm going to zip tie and straighten out everything, but I've got it connected to this power strip. I'm coming through here and swapping out some of these clips that were a little too short for this fence. Got a bunch of old fence behind here and things sticking out like this here was apparently causing it to short out, because I just did a test and wasn't getting very good voltage, but you can see here why. This is too close. It's arcing out probably. So swap out these short stays for these longer ones here. Here's on the back side of my pond, and you can see how I got the electric fence line running along this fence, and then I cut down, and I'm just walking the fence looking for any other spots where I might be arcing, causing a power loss. So my idea, as you see up there at the workshop, and I've got the power coming in about where that mineral feeder is, and it's coming, looping all the way around here. So if I connected to this with a poly rope and ran to that corner brace, I'd be able to section off all of this, allow the cows over here or only over here. So I'm trying to do a little bit of Greg Judy electric fence paddocks, using my high tensile wire as my connection points. And this also gives me the option to come in off of this pasture. I can come in and connect here, section off this piece here, or vice versa. And so now this line goes all the way up here to this gate, and I can do the same thing. I can section off pieces of this pasture here. So having this high tensile electric line gives me a whole lot of options. I thought a lot about how I wanted to get past this bow in my fence, and thought about welding something, and then I decided these are made for like wood posts. You drive a nail through this here and it holds the line. So I drilled a pilot hole into the steel post, and then tapped this self-tapping screw there, and that way I didn't have to get the welder out or anything. Just hold it right there against the post just fine. Alright, so earlier I was getting a very weak 0.8. See if anything I did changed anything. There we go. Oh yeah, that's hot now. I think that's hotter than I've ever seen that charger go. A hoe would probably be better. I picked a good time to dig this because the ground was just the right moisture. It wasn't muddy, but it wasn't rock hard, and all the dirt came off in big clumps. Made it nice. Alright, I just got this trench filled back in. It'll probably settle some. I'll bring in a little dirt if I need to, but and I got a little bit more cleaning up to do, like around this post here. I'll probably do some wire ties, straighten this wire up just a little bit more. This electric fence gives me a whole lot of options, and in fact I'm going to do quite a bit more around the front of my property. I'm going to run some more across the road, probably to kind of help keep the cows off the road. That's one thing I don't ever want to deal with, is having cows get out on the road. So electric fence is really good for that, or to prevent that. So a little winded because I was just cleaning up this trench. So having the electric fence all in the woods back there is really going to be nice, because that fence over there is not the best. It's a 4-strand barbed wire fence with an older fence behind it, but I've never really trusted it, especially we get a tree fall down. At least, I don't know, the tree might ground out the electric fence, but kind of does still give me a little bit extra peace of mind to know that there's electric fence all in those woods back there, and to have the option to be able to connect up to it back there behind the pond that I was showing with the poly wire, and being able to section off multiple pastures. It's going to be a nice addition to the farm.